Body syndromes. What are they, right? You've probably never heard of this term before. Well, and I might even change this on a different video or do a different video and just call it something else and talk about these things again. But that's what I learned. That's the term that I learned, the title that I learned, body syndromes. But what are we talking about? And maybe some other names will come up for them. But when I think body syndromes, I think when an emotion that we have is repressed and it manifests in the body as some form of physical issue, and at some point, possibly even developing into a dis-ease or disease, as you might call it. So again, I learned it as body syndromes. If you're familiar with Louise Hay, check out her books. She has the Hay House Publishing, but a lot of her things are the idea of emotions in the body, and she gets very specific about if you have this emotion leads to this disease. She calls them dis-eases. That's why I said that. And this leads to that. So check out her stuff. But I learned it as body syndromes. It's a little more simplistic way, a little more basic way than the very specific Louise Hay approach. But it's something where some sort of emotion it manifests in our body, and it might start out as a kind of just mild discomfort somewhere, right? And then if we don't address the theory is if we don't address that emotion, we just kind of keep repressing it, suppressing it. It progresses into other things. So I'm going to go over quickly the different syndromes, and we're going to talk about the one that applies to the topic we talk about. So first, there's the crying syndrome. That kind of involves the head, the neck, the solar plexus. That's the crying syndrome. That's the area for that. I'm not going to go into what that means. We have the responsibility syndrome. That's the upper back and shoulders, the spine. The fight or reaching syndrome. That's the arms and the hands. The flight syndrome, which is the legs and the feet. And then for our topic, we have the sexual frustration and guilt syndrome. So what is that, right? Think of the waist to the base of the hips. So that area, right? What does this affect? It affects, as I'm reading off the list, it affects things like the groin, the hip or the lower back, the intestines, the reproductive organs, and the adrenal glands. So what does it lead to? It manifests if you don't address these issues, these sexual frustrations, these guilt, and it might be guilt over sexual issues. This wasn't included in what I was taught, but I would also add money issues can sometimes be focused in this area as well. But because money is survival, sex, procreation, survival, think of it that way. But when you hold on to these emotions, it manifests as things like lower back pain, IBS, meaning irritable bowel syndrome, constipation, anorgasmia, prostate or ejaculatory problems, ED, think any kind of sexual issues, discomfort, pain, right? Things aren't working properly. That's what that kind of, and again, lower back things. That's what the idea of holding on to sexual frustrations, guilt, sexual maybe history with things. So think of that. So whenever you have issues kind of in that area, or you're having issues, conversely, when you nip it in the bud, right? If you're having sexual issues and you know of whatever kind, just kind of be aware that if you don't handle these things soon, maybe 6 months down the line, year, 2, 3, and so on down the line, if they're not handled, who knows what your body might be telling you, right? It's like your body's saying, hey, you're not listening to us. Pay attention. Just pay attention to what we're saying and get these things handled. If you have any questions, put them below. DM me. Watch the other videos. And if you maybe you're experiencing these things, you want some extra help, reach out to me. And maybe we can work together, or you can have that free strategy call and see if we would be a good fit. So I will see you on the next video.